In the late 70s, when funk and soul was battling for the airwaves, a new sound began to rise that was smooth, melodic, and undeniably electric. It came from six young musicians whose chemistry was undeniable, whose vocals blended like one voice, and whose talent caught the attention of Motown itself. With soaring falsettos, flawless harmonies, and musicianships that rivaled the greats, this group became one of the most exciting R&B groups of their era. Their success wasn't about hit records. It was about a new sound, a new energy, and a new lineup of multi-instrumentalists who could all sing, write, and play. At the heart of this sound was a story of ambition, brotherhood, struggle, triumph, and tragedy. A story that introduced the world to the genius of Bobby DeBarge, the leadership of Greg Williams, and the collective brilliance of a band whose influence will one day echo through the DeBarge family legacy. Their rise was fast, their impact was powerful, and their legacy, although often overshadowed, remains one of the most important chapters in Motown's late 70s evolution. This is a story of a band who fused funk, soul, and pure vocal magic. This is a story of a band who changed R&B music forever. The centerpiece of today's video is all about Switch. Now, if you guys love my videos and love supporting me, then I suggest you become a member of the channel where I will be releasing exclusive videos just for you all. Be sure to get that family tier so you won't miss out on these exclusive perks. If you guys would love to connect with me outside of YouTube, then I am officially announcing that I am on Discord. Here, you can provide me with feedback on my recent uploads. You could drop your suggestions for future videos, or if you just want to chat it up about videos or about music in general, or just about anything, we could do it here. We could do it together. I hope to see you there. The link is in the description below. Now, before we start, let's be sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and push that notification bell to be sure you won't miss out on any more content. Now, without further ado, let's cue that intro. Before their name echoed across radio stations, before Motown signed them, before their harmonies shaped the future of R&B, there were six young musicians scattered across different cities, each searching for that sound that felt bigger than themselves. In the late 70s was a time of musical transition. Funk was becoming heavier, disco was dominating the clubs, and R&B was fighting for our identity. But something new was forming, something that was more melodic, an emotional version of funk that was built on harmonies and instruments. This story begins in December of 1976 in Mansfield, Ohio. The group consisted of Gregory Williams, brothers Tommy and Bobby DeBarge, all from Grand Rapids, Michigan, along with Akron, Ohio natives Philip Ingram, Eddie Fluellen, and Jody Sims. Originally, Williams, Bobby, and Sims was part of a group that was called White Heat, which issued a self-titled album on RCA Records in 1975. The band's producer and founder, Barry White, shortly closed his Soul Unlimited production label and dropped all of his artists from his roster. This prompted Williams to start his own band. Burnt Lichers provided financial aid for the group's demo tape recordings in Columbus, Ohio. The band drew the attention of Jermaine Jackson, prompting him to set up an audition for Motown for them. At this audition, they dazzled the executives with their musicianship, particularly their ability to switch from instrument to instrument during each song. Each member was a multi-instrumentalist, each member could sing lead, and each member could contribute creativity. This was very rare for its time. Most bands relied on one or two key writers or vocalists, but Switch, They had 6. It was Greg Williams who envisioned a group where talents were interchangeable, where the music could switch between singers, between styles, between instruments, which overall earned the group's name. Within weeks, the group was signed to Motown Records. They recorded and released a self-titled album 18 months later in 1978, which included their first top 10 R&B smash single, There'll Never Be. You and I, show me. The song was also their most successful on the Billboard Hot 100 charts, where it peaked at number 36. From the first note of Bobby DeBarge's soaring falsettos, listeners knew that they was hearing something very special. The harmonies was angelic, the musicianship was flawless, and the emotion was undeniable. Williams, Bobby, and Sims wrote most of the songs, occasionally in conjunction with Jermaine Jackson. Despite never achieving considerable crossover success in the pop singles charts, they remained a continuous presence on the R&B charts in the late 70s. Their debut album went platinum. Their live performances was electrifying, and their fan base exploded almost overnight. And at the center of their success was Bobby DeBarge, a voice who became the soul of the group. His tone, control, and emotional delivery made him one of the greatest falsetto vocalists in R&B history. But Switch wasn't just Bobby. It was the combination of the ability to trade solos, swap instruments, and blend voices until they sounded like one. This was a new kind of R&B group, a new blueprint, and their rise was just beginning. The group went on to release albums such as Switch 2, This Is My Dream, Reaching for Tomorrow, and Switch 5. Successful songs from this era was I Want to Be Closer, Wishing You Were Mine, If It's What I'm Gonna Do, We Like to Party, Get Up, Get Up, Don't Stop, Don't Stop, Don't Stop, Get Up, Get Up, Get Up, Don't Stop, I Call Your Name.
See, sometimes I just can't live crying about you, baby. I'm not
Best Beat in Town, and Love Over and Over Again. All my love, all that I build up. What made Switch so special wasn't just their hit songs, it was their musicianship. As I stated earlier, there was one of the few R&B groups of their era where every member could sing, play multiple instruments, and write music, arrange vocal harmonies, and understood the production. Their sound was built on complex jazz-like chord changes, stacked harmonies, and smooth transitions that was polished to perfection. Philip Ingram brought vocal control and technical precision. Eddie supplied the multi-layered keys. Greg carried creative vision and arranged leadership. Jody provided the rhythmic backbone. Tommy added the deep, soulful bass. And Bobby gave them their emotional fire. Switch wasn't just a band. There was a musical collective. As Switch reached its peak, internal and external pressures began building. Success brought touring, press, studio deadlines, and personal challenges. Bobby DeBarge, despite his genius, struggled with drugs, a battle that would eventually affect both the band and his own life. The constant work and growing expectations began to strain on the group's chemistry. Also, around this time, Motown was beginning to shift its focus. The trends was changing, and Switch, they found themselves at a crossroads. Behind the scenes, the pressure was mounting. One of Switch's greatest long-term contributions to R&B was his influence on another group, DEBARGE. Bobby and Tommy went on to mentor their other siblings, helping shaping their songs, harmonies, and direction. Many of the musical ideas that was born within Switch carry over to the DEBARGE sound. Without Switch, DEBARGE may not never have risen to the heights that they eventually reached. The Switch legacy runs deeper than their own discography. It helped shape one of R&B's most famous and beloved families. Honestly, when Bobby and Tommy left the group, the sound of Switch that made fans fall in love with their music was gone. The band brought in more vocalists and musicians to fill in the void. As the 80s progressed, Switch's commercial success began to slow down. Members pursued solo careers, production work, and new creative paths. Switch released their final album, Am I Still Your Boyfriend, in 1984 before disbanding later that year. The next year, the group reunited with Williams and all new members, but the band gained little popularity. The band lost some members along the years. Bobby DeBarge, former lead vocalist, passed on August 16, 1995 in Grand Rapids, Michigan of AIDS-related complications at the age of 39. Tommy DeBarge, a former bass guitarist and backing vocalist, passed on October 21, 2021 at the age of 64. And Eddie Fluellen, former keyboardist, trombonist, songwriter, producer, arranger, and musical director, sadly passed away on April 15, 2025. After the departure of the DeBarge brothers, the group never reached the same level of fame again, but the core members continued their craft, each contributing to music in their own way. Their story, however, was far from forgotten. Switch has now reformed and now incorporating original and new members. Today, Switch is recognized as one of the most musically gifted R&B bands of its time. Their influence is heard on R&B vocals, falsetto-led ballads, smooth funk production, and modern neo-soul harmonies. Artists, producers, and fans continue to praise their innovation. There Never Be remains one of their greatest slow jam classics in R&B history, a timeless record that still ignites emotions decades later. The group's next biggest hit, I'll Call Your Name, was famously sampled by Rich Boy for his 2007 number 6 pop hit, Throw Some D's, and Kendrick Lamar's and SZA's 2025 number 10 pop hit, 30 for 30. Switch wasn't just performers, they was creators, architects, visionaries, a band that changed the course of R&B, and a group whose music continued to inspire audiences around the world. Now, before we go, I have a question for you all. What is your favorite song by Switch?